CM Punk and John Cena WWE plans. A top WWE talent having backstage heat. The Rock's WWE return and more. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. As soon as John Cena announced at Money in the Bank that 2025 would be his WWE retirement year, my mind immediately fantasy booked his greatest ever rival in one of his final matches, Ryback. And then, once I was done plotting out that entire SummerSlam to Survivor Series arc, I remembered Cena's other, less famous rival, CM Punk. Cena was the corporate babyface to Punk's cult anti-hero in 2011 WWE, which saw Punk cut his industry-shifting pipe bomb promo, a promo I'm contractually obliged to say is not as good as Steiner Math, and beat Cena at Money in the Bank 2011 in Chicago. The last time they interacted in a WWE ring was tagging together to take on The Shield on a 2013 episode of SmackDown. Speaking at the Mattel WWE panel at San Diego Comic-Con, Punk was asked who he would like to form a tag team with in the promotion. After first answering his pet dog Larry, "Whoa, no Ryback?" Punk then said, "Everybody's asking me because Cena has announced his retirement that, obviously they want to see us fight each other. I think there's something to me and him tagging. I think that can be pretty interesting." And by interesting, I assume Punk means a how will they coexist storyline that ends with Punk turning heel on John. Amidst reports of Punk renegotiating his WWE contract for more time and mo money, he also told Ringside Collectibles at Comic-Con that if this place was the way it was now, I wouldn't have left 10 years ago. But Punk isn't the only one who will be likely vying for one of Cena's retirement matches, because John's biggest mainstream wrestling opponent is also kind of running the company. The Rock hasn't been seen in WWE since this year's Ram, the Raw after WrestleMania, where he placed a mysterious object in Cody Rhodes' hand and said he's coming after the WWE champion as soon as he's back. Rock the Dwayne Johnson then left to shoot a movie called The Smashing Machine for the next several months. It's a significantly different film for The Rock. He usually just plays the same character in the same movie, but the situation being slightly different. Here's The Rock versus an earthquake. Here's The Rock versus a tall building. Here's The Rock versus an entire studio wanting to go in another direction. But The Smashing Machine, a biopic of the MMA fighter Mark Kerr, is made by your friend who's doing film studies' favourite studio, A24, the company behind Everything Everywhere All at Once, Civil War and The Iron Claw. And it's directed by Benny Safdie, who overhauled the careers of Adam Sandler and Robert Pattinson by casting them in Uncut Gems and Good Time respectively. The Rock has a wrestling mind. He goes with what the audience wants, and recently, before his wrestling return, they were telling him they were tired of his brand of action movies. So I believe Rock is doing his first serious Oscar-baiting film. I mean, just look at those prosthetics he's wearing to look like Mark Kerr. Prosthetics equals Oscars. If you want more me talking about movies, go subscribe to our movie channel Cutscene. Anyway, filming on The Smashing Machine has reportedly now wrapped, just 1 week out from SummerSlam, where Cody Rhodes, the man Rock said he's coming for, is defending his WWE Championship against Solo Sikoa, the guy who's disrespected the Bloodline way. With Roman Reigns also speculated to make his return at the show, the Bloodline saga could be set for its next big chapter, which Solo Sikoa is preparing for by breaking kayfabe. God damn it, Solo, stop exposing the business! Last Friday's episode of SmackDown was actually taped the week before because WWE were doing a live event tour of Japan from the 25th to the 27th of July, which saw Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn reunite to take on the Bloodline's Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa with Solo in their corner. But on a night out in Tokyo, Solo was affiliated with a different faction, as the Judgment Day's JD McDonough has posted several images to his Instagram page where Sikoa can be seen hanging out with JD, Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest. Solo is the one in the middle there. You might not recognize him because he's smiling. Dom, meanwhile, never change. Never change, Dom. Those photos are what the wrestling world calls a shoot, in that it's a real peek behind the fictional WWE curtain. But sometimes those shoots can re-enter wrestling storytelling for one of the highest expressions of the art form. A work shoot much loved brother HH Kiss. It was announced last week that the latest WWE 2K DLC pack would include Pat McAfee and his podcast friends Ty Schmidt, Boston Connor, AJ Hawk and Darius Butler. McAfee later posted that some fans called it the worst DLC TLC of all time, while Schmidt said people are annoyed because they want some of these other losers that no one has ever heard of from NXT to be in the game instead of him, but no one wants to play with them. This drew a response from NXT wrestler Carmen Petrovic, who posted, "God forbid fans want to play with wrestlers in a wrestling game, and put some respect on NXT." Chef Michaels sees your heat and uses it to flambe his next NXT storyline. Because NXT executive producer Sean has challenged McAfee and his gang, posting, "I'll put my 4 up against your 4 any day of the week. Just say when you want your ass kicking. Hashtag WWE NXT, hashtag get off Pat's jock." Where's William Regal saying War Games when you need him to? Pat is a trained wrestler who's actually competed in a War Games match before. There's speculation NXT could do a McAfee versus NXT stars in the next 2 weeks of Great American Bash shows as a way to compete for viewers during the Olympics. And it could also be a way to write off Pat from WWE. McAfee announced last week that he will be returning as a host on ESPN's College Game Day. When he had the role previously, he wasn't able to juggle both that, his podcast, and his WWE announcing duties, so he left his then SmackDown commentary position. The Wrestling Observer newsletter is now reporting WWE expect him to pull out of Raw once the football season begins. Following Beth Phoenix being removed from WWE's public roster page, PW Insider is reporting that her WWE Legends contract has indeed expired, and she is no longer with the company. Her last appearance was at the 2023 Elimination Chamber show, where she tagged with her real-life husband Edge against the Judgment Day's Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor. It's heavily speculated she'll join Copeland in AEW once he's healed from his broken leg, because the man can't resist an intergender tag match. And following reports that MVP, Bobby Lashley and Tamina were recently removed from WWE's internal roster ahead of their contracts expiring, MVP appeared on Sunday's Bloodsport show looking jacked and ready for a run on the Indies. MVP confronted Bloodsport's host Josh Barnett, where he revealed, "My contract with a company, who I won't mention right now, is about to expire. And I'm not going back, Josh. I'm not ready to retire yet." Bloodsport has a realistic focus on grappling in the ring with no wrestling ropes, so hopefully MVP can take that over and restart Raw Underground. It's been reported that MVP and Lashley are looking to reform their Hurt Business faction in AEW, with fellow departed WWE star Shelton Benjamin. But MVP wasn't the only WWE star at Bloodsport, with Julius Creed beating Matt Mikowski and Brutus Creed beating Filthy Tom Lawler, both with KO victories. All these WWE wrestlers seemingly departing WWE is nothing compared to Ring of Honor departing Ring of Honor. AEW President Tony Khan said in the media conference following ROH's Death Before Dishonor show that ROH brand could frankly benefit from even more association with AEW. "I think it would only help grow the ROH brand if I were to license it, sub-license if it were AEW ROH. It's not crazy at all to think Ring of Honor could be televised in the Warner Brothers Discovery family. Would Ring of Honor frankly have a lot more value as AEW Ring of Honor? Yeah, probably. While Khan has driven Ring of Honor to some of its highest buy rates ever, it has failed to be as culturally relevant as the brand's glory days, largely because of it being seen as AEW's developmental promotion now, a kind of revamped AEW Dark. But with AEW currently in their hugely important TV negotiations with Warner Bros. Discovery, perhaps Khan is considering merging ROH into the more recognizable AEW brand to make it part of the deal. Very similar to how NXT isn't called NXT on TV listings, it's called WWE NXT. And Tony does seem to be loading up this next phase of Ring of Honor, as Dustin Rhodes and Marshall and Ross Von Erich, the real-life sons of Kevin Von Erich, whose family story was recently popularized in the Iron Claw movie, won the vacated ROH six-man tag team titles at Saturday's Battle of the Belts. F4W Online note that this is the first time a member of the Rhodes family has teamed with a member of the Von Erichs since June 29th, 1982. Where Dusty Rhodes, David Von Erich and Harley Race beat the Funk Brothers and Stan Hansen in a bunkhouse match in Tampa, Florida. Also at the following night's ROH TV tapings, AEW wrestler Sammy Guevara made his return, saving Dustin from the Dark Order, which is his first appearance since being suspended in February following a match against Jeff Hardy where he allegedly didn't follow concussion protocol. Now it's time for you to watch the 10 best wrestling matches of 2024 so far. Click the video on the left for the brand new episode of Tables, Lists and Chairs with Luke, Dan and Tegan. It's Tegan Lists and Chairs.